my god, is this another episode of We're Just Haters?
We're Just Haters!
And this week, against all odds, inspired by the Tupperware fascists, we're back.
At the National.
At
the
the
Royal
National.
Theatre, calling it by its government name.
Oh god, why you to be fair, after what we... no spoilers, but yes, you deserve to call this by its government name because National Theatre yet again was a naughty theatre. We back to our original programming of hatred this week.
Yeah, sorry guys. 2 goodies, 1 baddie, okay?
The baddie is of the week.
A baddie in a bad way. Not a baddie as
No,
in a good way. You know what I mean?
In the old school baddie way. We went to see The Other Place.
At the National Theatre.
Yeah.
And it's a new play that is inspired by Antigone by Sophocles.
Mm-hmm.
Classic Greek drama.
Fucking
It's
love
like everybody does it.
Yeah, still very good.
Yes.
Love it.
And it's by Alexander Zeldin.
And directed by...
Is
there
it?
we go.
Oh, maybe
I
it
think
is.
so.
Yeah, you're right.
Again, I think like we went blindly. I didn't have the time to read anything.
We
on
just knew that it was
again.
based on Antigone. That's all
Yeah,
we knew. And that we knew the people who were in it. And that was the end.
Yeah. So should we go to us at the National?
Yeah, let's go to us at the National.
Woo.
Yoo-hoo!
Are you getting like PTSD, or is it just me?
Oh, about being in this theater?
Yeah.
Possibly. Oh, I just realized I saw another thing in here that wasn't good. That was the Gecko Dance Theater piece
Oh, that
from
wasn't
January.
good. God damn it.
No, because it was trying to say too much and not nothing about
classic.
immigration and migration and stuff. And she's like, okay.
So yeah, because after the episode that we recorded on at Tupperware Fascists, we went to the understudy and we saw Emma Darcy and Tobias Menzies, and we were like, wait, are they doing a show?
And then we were like, oh, right, they
are
are
doing the show. Should we book the tickets for the show?
And then
Yeah. So we did.
No worries.
Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, so what we can see, set, it's
kitchen.
yeah, it's kind of like seems like a
Kitchen, dining room.
loft conversion with the furniture found on the street. You know what I mean? With furnished from like whatever you find on the street.
It does look a bit mismatched. It's probably on purpose.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Like, you know, Berlin apartments or whatever. Go for it, guys.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Unpopular opinion, I think we should start loading in theaters like how we load in airplanes.
Honestly. But like it always happens. The people that in the middle always turn up like the latest. And normally I would have an issue with it, but sometimes it always happens that I'm that person and I'm like, fuck. So I understand. What can I say? What we know about this, we know that Emma Darcy is hot. We know that it's an adaptation, or like based on, or
I think it's supposed to what takes place
inspired
after
by
Antigone.
There we go. So it's going to be Antigone's story. Oh my goodness. So it's always, it always happens to me as well. When I'm in the middle, I'm the last.
Oh, there's a little
So it's like
synopsis.
7 people that. Anyway, we're blabbing now. Anything else you want to add?
No, I mean, it's a short one.
It's 80 minutes, but obviously we're traumatized by the Bush Theatre. So we don't believe when people tell us stuff anymore. But roll call, well done. You stuck to the 75, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Hopefully this one is going to be 80. So see you after.
Bye.
Bye.
So that was us talking about the being in the middle of the row. How exciting. Renata, what does the National Theatre website say about The Other Place?
2 sisters reunite on the anniversary of the death of their father. Their uncle has remodeled their family home in an attempt at a fresh start. But one sister's sudden reappearance threatens to shatter this fragile ideal as she demands justice for the pain she carries. Amid the debris and the new extension, guilt, grief, and greed battle it out for the family's compelling dreams of their future. When we are faced with the suffering of others, even those closest to us, can we look away? What does this have to do with anything we saw? It has
honestly,
nothing. Okay, anyway,
the rage is coming back. PTSD.
Yeah.
Honestly,
this synopsis hasn't. That's not what we saw on stage.
And that's what I'm saying. People are gonna buy tickets, obviously, because of Emma Darcy. But you read this and you think, well, that sounds interesting. Let me go and see this story. Are you gonna see the story? No. But hey. Before we go into that, let's gather ourselves and try to piece what happened. So I guess National Theatre has kindly provided us with a
very
synopsis.
detailed synopsis of every single moment.
That's going to be helpful because ain't gonna lie, I blocked that shit out. I don't even remember. So we open with
the family at the family home. You have Lenny, who is the uncle's stepchild.
Yes.
You have the uncle's wife.
A child? Is it child? Wife? Yeah. Let's
I was getting prepubescent person.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, so the uncle's family.
Yeah. But also Izzy, who's one of the sisters. Was one of the sisters.
Yeah. So
who's living with them, and she's been living there for a while.
Yeah, that's what we learn.
And so
they're anticipating the return of the prodigal daughter.
Annie, who hasn't been back. This is the family home. This is not just the home that Izzy grew up in and her sister grew up in. This is also the home that her uncle and father grew up in as well.
So this really family home.
Really, really family home. And they're redoing it. They're putting some new floors in. They put a nice big sliding door window. They knocked down the back wall.
Renata was in awe of that door.
And they had a couple moments. They had a big sliding door in the back, and they had a couple moments with the door when people were like, "Oh my god, this door is amazing," which was quite funny. I thought
it was an incredible door
to lead out to their garden in the back.
So we already know by the way they talk about
Annie. She's about to come in like a hurricane.
Yes, she's so troubled and
she causes problems. And even though two of the people in this room have never met her before, they're just going basically based on what everyone else is saying.
Chatting shit about her basically immediately.
Yeah.
So we are already bracing ourselves for her arrival, and then she arrives,
and they're actually about to go to a memorial for their father, whose ashes they have
on that day. Yeah.
So they're waiting for her so that they can go.
So they can go.
They got a bench dedicated to him in the park, and they're gonna go and spread his ashes in the bench. So they have their urn and everything with the ashes. He died a long time ago, but they never really had a funeral.
Also, what is National Theatre and the ashes? That's very interesting. Two plays about scattering someone's ashes. And hey, one of them is successful. The other one is the other place. Yeah. So, but then Annie arrives,
and just how they say, she causes issues by saying, "I
don't want to scatter the ashes."
Yeah, she didn't want to scatter the ashes. She thinks that he should stay there in his home.
Yeah.
And of course, it's all awkward. There's lots of really long, awkward pauses. Awkward silence.
Awkward silences about
and then
nothing.
They get too long.
And then it's like, oh no, so dramatic. Scatter, not scatter. Scatter, not scatter. Okay, cool. What else is happening? Please enlighten us. National Theatre website synopsis, because
before Annie shows up, their neighbor Terry comes in.
Oh yeah, actually, my favorite character.
Yeah, who basically is dropping by to have a look at the new doors because he's the one who's the contractor on their house. And because they're all going to go to the memorial. And then finally Annie comes back. Annie is coming from the woods. They say she always comes from the woods.
She's so crazy. She loves hiking, guys.
And we don't get a clear answer where she's been all these years. We just say, oh, she's on the coast. She's by the sea.
How crazy. She lives in Cornwall.
So she comes with this big hiking backpack.
Not the hiking bag.
And,
so crazy.
again, she says that once she figure out what they're doing with the bench dedication and the ashes scattering, she said she doesn't want that, and that she should be able to make that decision because she is her father's daughter.
Yeah.
Which is fair.
Yeah.
And Chris is like, their uncle is like, first of all, they call their uncle by his first name, which is interesting.
Which is, I guess, fair. Because I think probably he was quite young.
So they're kind of close in age, probably. And we kind of also find out that he raised them after their father died, because they were still children when their father died. So he was the one to take care of them.
And that's going to be kind of important.
It's going to be important later.
Yeah.
And Chris is like, we need to move on. Oh, also, we know that their dad hanged himself in the backyard.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, we need to move on. We need to move on. Do these scattering ashes or whatever. We need to do this or whatever. So Annie decides she doesn't want to go to scatter the ashes. But
and obviously
she takes the ashes out, put it in a plastic bag, and hides them underneath her shirt.
Yeah. And then they go to scatter the ashes, but the ashes are not there.
Obviously, because Annie has them.
Wow.
And then she goes up to sleep in their bed.
Yeah.
In Chris and his wife's bed, which is weird.
Yeah, no, but because Annie is so whimsical. She's so crazy. She lives in the woods, remember?
Yeah. So Annie comes back down from downstairs in her dad's clothes, because she sees there's a pile of her dad's stuff in the living room because they're about to throw it out.
Yeah.
And she ends up in her dad's clothes. And her uncle comes back.
Yeah,
and Lenny comes back.
Other things as well, and she's like, again, upset, obviously, that they're trying to throw it away, which is
when her uncle comes back from the memorial. Of course, he's pissed because the ashes weren't in the urn.
Must have been a bit awkward.
And he basically roughs her up to ask her where the ashes are.
Yeah,
where are the ashes? And the way he does it has a sexual undertone.
Not even undertone. It was very
overt. Yes, you're right. He put his hands in her pants, essentially.
Front of her pants.
In the front of her pants, to see if he can find, and then threw her to the ground, essentially.
Oh, and also in front of other people.
Yeah, in front of like everyone. 3 other people, in front of everybody.
Yeah. Because,
and Lenny is like, what the fuck? Like, Lenny is also the only source of reason. And the neighbor, they're both like, "What the fuck is happening?" And I was like, place? "All you people are crazy."
Exactly. I was
Thank
like,
you.
What is happening? Yes.
So yeah, that happens, and so she does that. The Terry, Tez, the guy, the neighbor, he brings some takeaway.
Yeah, and that's probably the most riveting part of this play.
Yeah. And Chris also searches Annie's bags and finds stuff. And it's just like, yeah, well, that's when he's trying to find the ashes. But Lenny finds the ashes. And then Annie decides to get her old tent that's by the door. That's in the pile of her dad's stuff. And then goes to the backyard and decides to camp out in there.
Yeah.
And protest.
Which is so dramatic. Oh, no.
And when she goes out there, Chris locks the door behind her, essentially. There's a lot of locking and unlocking of the sliding door in this. So when
Which could be symbolic, but no.
So when the neighbor guy comes back with the takeaway, Chris goes out with the ashes for a drive. The neighbor comes back with the takeaway. And Annie's outside. Izzy's drunk a little bit. And then, of course, the neighbor comes on to her.
Yeah.
Which is weird. He rejects her. She rejects him, and then he leaves.
Yeah, highly dramatic.
And then Annie gets back in the house, even though she's really not supposed to be in there. And they talk about their childhood and stuff, and of course they remember their childhoods differently and whatever, and. About the tent. There's mention of the tent and how the 3 of them used to be in the tent, and how Annie and Chris specifically used to be in the tent. So we're getting more information here about the type of relationship that they have. Chris finally returns after driving around and sends Izzy to bed. Chris and Annie try to talk. He still has the ashes. And they speak about how close they were when Adam died, and that type of closeness, which is awesome. which, after all that talking and stuff, you feel this tension between them, which is, very sexual.
Yeah.
And we get to Chris sent her away when she was a teenager, probably because he realized that this relationship was wrong and trying to assuage his guilt by sending her away, which is why she hasn't been back since she was a teenager.
Yeah.
And so again, they get closer and closer, and then they make out. And they're like, you only get me. We only get each other.
Yeah.
And you're weird and I'm weird.
We used to fuck back in the day.
Yeah. And then she spits in his mouth. That was the whole thing. Anyway, so...
But and then his wife
comes down and sees them.
Yeah.
And kind of, she deals with it for 5 seconds. And then she's like, who wants breakfast? And so she starts making eggs. And then Lenny comes down and she and is like, what the fuck is happening here?
And I'm like, Lenny, you and
me both. And, Annie goes back outside to the tent. And so they're just making eggs, just staring into the distance or whatever. Erica and Chris do argue, but then Erica tries to move on.
And she does within a minute.
Lenny wakes up, he comes downstairs, see the eggs things, it's weird. And then Lenny goes outside to look for Annie.
Yeah.
Goes into the tent, and Annie is dead because she has committed suicide.
She killed her.
And it's very bloody because he comes over with bloody hands. And then Erica goes out and says, "Oh my God, Annie!" And then Chris is like, "Don't look at me! Don't look at me! Don't look at me!" And that is the end of the play.
Basically, thank you to the beautiful website by the National Theatre because I wouldn't have
remembered any of that because they have a detailed synopsis of what happens.
No recollection. So let's jump straight back into the action. Us after seeing the other.
You already have got a gist of how we feel, but let's hear about us fresh.
Yeah. This is our friend Celine, after show thoughts.
Don't look at me!
Right?
It was just flying off the handle. It was
like,
just
what?
I was like, it felt like AI wrote this. Like,
yes! Oh my god!
Yeah.
If AI would write the play!
It was not like... Yeah, there was no
by a human.
There was no flow. No.
And no story, no flow.
Like this.
These are Hollywood actors.
It's not the actors, it's the thing.
No, but they didn't make it better.
No, they didn't. No. It was quite strange. Are we going for a drink?
Yes, please.
And the costume was shit.
And costume was shit by Celine Castillon. No, honestly,
I don't know what happened. I don't know what's going on here.
What was that?
The first hour. Talking in circles, repeating the same thing over and over again. Personally understood there was something going on between those two.
Yeah,
very
it was
clearly,
so
right.
easy. And then
but why you don't carry on that line?
Yeah, and then the big revelation. Oh, and it was like, yes, bitch, we followed
They've been fucking.
Yeah, we know.
I think they've been really
What's the story?
trying to be natural.
One abused the other,
with like the pauses and the awkwardness, but it was like
But it was so unnatural.
It was so unnatural.
And I think something about
pauses. I was like,
for the space like this, I'm sorry to say, I know they are mostly film actors. You don't need to mic this kind of space. That's why like there's so many overlaps. The sound design was crazy.
Weird. I was like,
why the fuck are we having this like?
I think the only reason it's mic also because there's a lot of access in the National, so they do that for the relay for the people who need access.
for the induction loop.
Yeah.
For the loop.
And I think this is probably
but the sound design was crazy. Why?
Yeah.
I mean, induction loop, I get that, but actually that doesn't work like that. It doesn't work from like mic to mics. It works.
Yeah, it's
from,
like from like environment.
So like I don't know. No, but the sound design itself,
it was strange.
The music bits just starts.
And the rave,
and it was just.
I was like, I want to rave.
It was
what
weird.
is happening?
There was no through line with the sound design. I was like, what does this have to do with anything?
That literally what you said. AI.
AI.
I didn't
Oh
say
no,
that.
you said that.
Yeah.
Renata said that.
I was like, this sounds like either AI, but also it could sound like, when someone translates one text from one language to another,
when they don't really know the language,
don't interpret it, and they just translate it. It's like Google Translate.
Yes, Google Translate.
It's taken from 3 different texts though, so it's taken from. There's a translation from the tragedy, the Greek and Us, and then Susan Sontag regarding the pen of others, and Julia Samuel, grief work.
Oh, we love Susan Sontag. She notes on camp. Yeah, I was so confused. I was like, nothing is happening. Nothing is happening.
And there's not even anyone getting naked. So I'm just
yeah, what's the point?
Yeah,
no naked, no point.
What? Bring back the London Tide. Bring back the London Tide.
And she didn't even see all of London Tide, guys.
No,
she left that interval.
Literally
okay?
left that interval. But this was. I mean, at least it was so bad. It was hilarious.
Yeah, because I was really laughing.
started laughing.
It was. It was. I think it might have been me. One of my laughs was a bit over the top, but I couldn't.
I felt like they were trying to be abstract, but it just didn't work.
No. I
trying to be cool.
honorable shout out. Love the set design.
Yeah,
Set
cool.
design was
The set
cool.
is really
Cool.
like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
incredible.
Cool with a big window.
Cool.
So cool.
Anything else?
Yeah, that's it.
Just ridiculous.
No, that's it.
Absolutely.
Ridiculous.
What
The
the
rest.
fuck? Anyway, I think that's it.
well.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's gonna be horrible.
Now I'm gonna go see.
Well,
what the
we were up
interviews
in the
say.
goss.
With the
The-
reviews
oh,
say.
imagine
see.
5 stars. Ugh. So
We actually had a special guest on the. You heard someone with a Parisian accent.
That's Alexander, the wardrobe extraordinaire, has worked in many different theaters with many different shows. She joins us occasionally. So I think we might include people.
She doesn't want to, but we should have her on the show as well.
I know. At some point, I think we're gonna start bringing the shows because everyone's tired of us yapping. So guys, I'm gonna reveal something in the kind of in the style of the other plays. We didn't like the play. What? I couldn't ever imagine this from the way you opened this episode. So crazy.
But we couldn't withhold it. We couldn't hold it in.
No.
We had to immediately say, this is the play that was bad.
And it closed
Today.
on the day of recording, and thank God.
I mean, it had a month-long run.
Yeah. And I feel very...
And it sold pretty well.
Of course, because
the people in it.
Yeah, because
you
Emma Darcy,
never know.
I wanted to go purely because of them.
Yeah, because we saw them after Tupperware of Ashes at the understudy.
Yeah,
and we were like, wait a minute,
yeah.
we just booked this show.
Yeah, and we did. Because of the celebrity. It was literally because of the celebrity.
But isn't that usually how it works anyway?
Not for me.
But, me neither.
But this was literally purely that.
And that's why it did
Emma
well.
Darcy, they're very hot. Anyway. Yeah.
I love the silence.
Honestly, because the thing is the Tobias end line.
The thing is, a lot of there was lots of outbursts of anger in this.
For no reason.
And they were totally unearned.
And obviously,
yelling.
It's always director's fault. As a director, I always say that. But then I feel when you work as a director, obviously there's a level of gravitas successful actors bring. And I'm very sad that these two actors didn't use that. And because I'm sure they understand what they are doing, you know, they wouldn't be as successful as they are, they wouldn't be good actors. So how come they were like not questioning, especially it's director's adaptation, it's director's play. So it's not a set in stone thing. Like, interrogate it and be like, what? But then again, maybe it's like, I think what we said in the after show, what you said, that it seems like AI wrote it. That I think it's so on point.
Yeah, it was, because it didn't flow. Now, if this was a stylistic choice that was on purpose,
but it
had a purpose, then it would make sense.
Yeah.
But this did not. It just felt so strange,
but not in a good way. I'm all about strange plays. Like, give it to me, but like they still have to
make sense.
And
it didn't. It was just
drama.
Hey, ChatGPT, write this play for me.
Literally, because like there was nothing real in any of it. You know, like there was nothing really human in any of it.
And they were trying to do that weird, awkward thing that people like to do now. Have in their plays, weird, awkward moments, weird moments of tension and stuff, which can work real good.
But the silence need to be.
But the silence was really, especially at the beginning. It was silent for like 3 minutes.
So boring.
And the thing is, 3 minutes in theater time is a long time.
And the thing is, again, like, I'm a massive fan of silence. If the silence is telling us something. But they were
just sitting there scrolling on their phones for 3 minutes.
Not engaged. Again, if you would be engaged, as we talked about brace, you know, like when actors in the silent moment, they're still fully engaged and they're still acting.
Yeah.
You don't need to have words to act and tell us a story.
Exactly.
You know?
Do it through your actions in your body. But if you're just doing one action,
exactly,
and sitting still, like, wouldn't it make sense if you were scrolling on your phone, moving around while scrolling your phone, doing something with your lower body while scrolling on your phone?
Be engaged, like I don't know. It's like 101 acting, and
again, that's probably not their fault. It's probably a directing choice, obviously.
Yeah.
To be that silent and doing nothing for 3 minutes.
But that's what I'm saying. I think like we need to.
I thought someone forgot their lines.
Yeah, maybe.
That's what I thought.
I don't know,
because you know when the silence at first is like okay, and then it's like it's too long.
Because that's the thing. It's like there were so many problems with rhythm, and I don't know. Like the director literally has to have an inner metronome, and if you feel like the rhythm is off and it's dragging, you need to pick it up.
Yeah.
Silence doesn't work if it's not earned, you know, and everyone can feel it simultaneously. As humans, we can feel it when it's too much, you know? So yeah, I don't know, everything was just off. This soundscape was again AI. Just started like random soundscape, random song starts in the middle of this sentence, and then for 5 minutes plays on top of nothing.
It was like a loud hum, like a something like a machinery thing,
chatting about nothing, and then it stops, and then something else comes.
I guess it's supposed to denote rise in tension, but it did nothing.
But it didn't because nothing wasn't rising in tension. Like I get it, use these, you know, devices, but like it didn't make no sense, literally. And that's kind of
I mean, that's really all to say. I mean, to be honest, there's not much more to say.
I guess, you know, when people are scared now in Hollywood and all that about AI, don't worry. If you worry about AI, go see this play. Yeah. Go read it.
Because AI can't do what humans can do.
No.
You know, it's you can teach it all you want, but the human mind is something that can't be duplicated.
And this is literally felt like that. And
that's what plays are going to feel like if people start using it.
And that's the thing. And then afterwards as well, like you heard our friend Celine. Then I met just randomly my other actor friend on the night. He felt exactly the same way. I think everyone kind of unanimously were like,
and that thing was sold out. The tickets were halfway gone before when we were looking at it, when we saw them in the understudy after seeing Tabor of Ashes, and we were looking at tickets, there was barely any tickets left.
Which, like, I understand, but then again, I feel
and this is in the Littleton, by the way, which is a large theater.
Yeah.
So they were confident they were able to sell it out, and they were for the most part.
Of course, because like this is what you get when you get stacked in. But again, you need to have some kind of responsibility, especially these days when not a lot of people can actually, spend £50 or like more on a ticket, and then you kind of make them watch this. And again, if you're someone who doesn't go to the theater, and go to see these people on stage live, if you're big fans of these actors, maybe you're gonna have a great time because you came there just to
and it's just
look
a night
at them.
out. I mean, a lot of people just go because it's a night out and have a drink with your friends, watch one of your favorite actors in a play, and then go out for drinks after. Awkward.
Yeah, perhaps. But if you're actually someone who cares about theater, that was atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. Yeah. So you did it again, National. You did it again, but
in a bad way.
Keep up. I would love to see a triptych of plays about human remains. So let's see what's the third one going to be. I mean, 50-50 so far. So bring them on. I don't know what we're going to see next.
We got to make a decision, but
I have no idea. It's a shame.
It is, and again, we say this all the time. It just shows you that it doesn't matter. You can find good theater in the smallest places and the biggest places. You can find bad theater in the biggest of organizations and in the smallest of organizations. Just because something is at the National, just because something's on the West End, does not mean it's good.
Yeah, exactly.
So act accordingly.
Yeah, and if we can try to find one good thing about the other places, like thank you for bringing us back to our reputation of haters, because people
bringing us back down to earth.
I know,
to reality.
I know, because the last few episodes where we kind of were loving things. Delusion. Delulu was real with this one. Hey, not anymore. See you next time.
See you at the next one. Bye-bye.